everybody. Welcome to Simple Art at Home with me, Laura Houston. Today's drawing lesson is called Layers Below. And as you can see, we're going to be showing layers below the earth. And it's not going to be scientific. You know, we could do this for another project where you're actually studying from your science book and you're looking at geology, but we're not doing that. This is just going to be completely fun. And so here's one example. So I will meet you over at the table. This is another example right here that I will leave on the table. So if you don't want to do the one that you saw up on the easel, or if you're having trouble coming up with an idea, I'm going to leave this here too as an example. Okay, so what are the goals for today? Okay, so the goals are, this is a lesson about line, and the goals are to use a variety of lines. The goals are to create contrasting areas of light and dark. So you can see that here. There's different areas where they're light and dark. And the other goal is to be original, show creative thinking, and choose an interesting place for what you want to create. And, speaking of interesting places, there's all different kinds of things that you can draw for an underground scene. So maybe what I'm going to show is something just outdoors with trees on top, tree roots, rocks. I'm going to show some little burrowing animals and maybe water or dinosaur bones. Maybe your underground scene will be below a seashore. Maybe there's a sea cliff and sand, and you're going to show what's underneath the seashore, like water, sand, shells. Maybe there's old broken ships, bones, fish, a treasure chest, or rocks. Maybe you want to show a city scene, underground, under a city, like underground parking garages. Maybe there's pipes and subways and rocks and basements and sewers. And in this one I left blank because I thought, wow, what else could you show? You could show underneath a volcano or underneath a farm. So just kind of think about these items, and if you want to pause here to write down your thoughts of what you might want to draw, you can do that too. So I'm going to set these aside now. Okay. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to be drawing some trees. My paper is big. I'm using a full sheet of construction paper, and it doesn't fit in my whole view, but I will talk you through it anyway. And like I said, I will leave this on the table because this is, I guess, a little simpler, like these patterns down here, than what I'm doing. So I suggest you turn your paper sideways and imagine if this were the middle. I want you to draw a line with your pencil that is about like 1/4 of the way over, and this will be a horizon line. And so I'm just kind of doing this. And I already know I'm going to put some trees on top, but you want a line across the top. And then once you draw your buildings or trees or whatever it is, then we can fill it in with black. But I'm going to turn it back over this way to show you. I'm going to use a thick pen here. This is going to be partially above ground. Some simple trees, and they're going off the edge there. Like you can see, they don't quite fit off the top. There's no really right or wrong way to draw trees. And so now I'm going to go back and turn it sideways and darken that line where the ground meets the skies. It's your horizontal, it's kind of like the horizon line. Okay, so that's what the top of my paper looks like. And now underneath here, I'm going to show all kinds of layers. You can probably see I sketched out a little bit here. I'm going to show These will be like little animal burrows. You know how animals dig tunnels and create their nests underground. These could be animal burrows. And then I'm going to draw another line. So you want a series of horizontal or, you know, lines kind of horizontal. Maybe they don't have to be even. They can show some curve. And this is where we'll show the different layers under the ground. Leave space. If you want to draw yours like mine, I'm going to imagine that this is kind of like the core of the earth where it's hot and melty. And I'm just going to kind of draw some little triangles that show the heat radiating from that down there that's like deep below the Earth's surface. And then around it, I'll just draw like a wavy line. So we're just basically showing layers and layers. And as I said before, this is not scientifically correct. This is just for fun. Okay, so I have all these layers. And then I'm going to show you how to fill them in with details and patterns. And remember, our goal is to use a variety of lines and create contrasting areas. So you can fill your sections in with any of these patterns that you see here, or you can kind of follow along with what I'm doing here. So I think I might just add some little, like it looks like plants up here. And you can show their roots. That just kind of gives you the idea of the start of like, what's happening here? Oh, you know, that's the top of the ground. And these must be little roots shooting down. You could turn them into flowers if you want to make them look pretty. And if I wanted to draw some little animals in here, I don't know. Let's see, maybe like a little mouse. Maybe I'll draw like just a little mouse with ears, a little cute critter with a little nose and whiskers. I think little mice might live underground. They have little hands, I think. Maybe a little tail. And let's give them a table. Let's make it fun. Like this is where he lives, and like a little bookshelf. And maybe he has a little art on his wall. And maybe we'll show another little mouse over here. Like, oh, I want to make a bed. So I'm just going to make kind of like a bed. And how would I make a little mouse sleeping? Just draw his little nose going this way and his little eye that way. How about that? Can you see that? And his little body. I'll give him a pillow. And maybe that's like the blanket on him. Maybe his tail comes out over here. Little whiskers. And then in here, maybe he has a TV on the wall where he can watch TV. Don't ask me how they get electricity. This is just fun. We're doing fun stuff here. Maybe he has a chair so he can sit when he's not sleeping and watch TV. Okay, I'll put that a little closer so you can see. If you need to pause it, you can pause it there if you want to. But of course, draw whatever you want underground. And then I'm going to fill in this background with, you know, maybe these are like just rocks. Maybe there's an earthworm crawling through. You could really work on this piece a little bit each day for a week if you wanted to. I'm just kind of... So this part right here is pretty open. Remember I talked about showing contrasting light and dark? This is pretty open here. And, you know, for the next part, I want to show a little bit of division. So I'm going to draw I'm gonna draw some kind of like quirky lines all through here. And some of the lines will be fat, some will be straight. And this piece is not meant to have color because the lesson is mostly a study on line. But obviously I painted this one because I love using color, but that took a long time. So I'm gonna just fill this section in, but today I'm just gonna do pen. You could do black crayon with line. Remember the focus is on line. And then I think that's pretty good. I could add some lighter weight lines here and there as well. Not with every one, but that also adds interest. You could see I could just go on and on with this. You could do cross hatching. Okay, so this is what I mean by contrasting. So this space is not very much filled in, but this looks very different. There's a lot going on right here. It's crowded with line, whereas this is open. Okay, and then down here, I think, why don't I do another fun, I'm gonna do another little fun scene just because I wanna be creative. I'm going to draw maybe some little creatures in cars. So let's see, what kind of a car might a mouse be in? So maybe maybe this mouse finds a pencil. Oh my gosh, right? Wouldn't that be fun? The mouse finds a pencil with a little pointy tip. Stay away from the front of that car. And we'll put some wheels on it. If the teachers are old enough like me, I'm thinking of like Busy Town, the Busy Town books that I used to read when I was a kid. So like maybe there's numbers on the pencil, and we can draw a little mouse. We'll give him a little nose with his little whiskers. He's all serious because he's driving. With his tail coming up. And maybe like we could show some, it's probably dark down there, so let's draw a little light. Like maybe we have a light like this, lighting the way. I don't know. Right? And he's, maybe he's got like light coming off the front of his car too. That's a light. And, maybe, what else can we draw down here? This is the part where I'm just trying to be creative and think outside the box of what might be in the background. And maybe you see like rocks on the wall. I'm imagining it's a tunnel that's been carved out by all these little underground small animals. And maybe I'll draw another little, I don't know what this is going to be. It's like some other little car. Like I said, I don't even know what it is, but it's just fun. Maybe this guy will be some kind of a worm. But I don't know how does a worm drive? Does it matter? Worms don't have arms. Maybe he's something else. Let's draw like some headlights coming out, the lights coming out of the car. Maybe let's give him a little hat. And he needs a light too, hanging down here in these tunnels. It's kind of fun to imagine that there's underground tunnels. And again, I'll draw some rocks on the wall. All right, let me hold that up so you can see a little better. There's all those little creatures. It's kind of fun to think that all this is going on underneath us. And I'm going to just draw some patterns of, like, I don't know what these would be, like maybe larger rocks. And again, I'm experimenting with line. I'm switching back and forth between a heavyweight pen and a lightweight pen. And I think it would be fun to fill in, because again, I want a contrast, right? So maybe I'll fill this in, this space, the spaces in between my geometric shapes or those lines with just circles. And again, it doesn't have to mean anything. This is fun. We're just repeating patterns. And you'll see the contrast that starts forming in between these layers. They don't have to be perfect circles. You can see how quickly I'm doing this. And see the contrast that's already starting to show up just from drawing circles. You can tell it's a separate area than the tunnel that the little tiny creatures are driving in. Okay. If I wanted to, maybe this is a good place to put some bones or something. I can imagine that it's this little like dinosaur bones floating around in here. Maybe is that like a femur or something? Little pieces of a horn. I don't know what these bones might be. This is a good place for another. Like just that shape is good. Maybe we show like a little head. Maybe a dinosaur head going this way. I don't know. Like sometimes it would just have like a horn. Pieces of bone, maybe. I think that's kind of fun. You get the idea. All right. And then I'm still moving through this. I'm going to change to an even smaller pen. And I'm just going to draw lines that follow this pattern of that molten center of the earth. Again, we're just experimenting with line and how lines can create patterns and contrasts and light and dark. And I'm going to just color these in. Can you see that one still? Okay. And I'm just going to fill this one in. Okay. Let's just look at this from the top down. And again, you can add details to your trees. You can show the bark. But let's see. So here we started with the top layer. And going down, there's burrows there, and some more contrast from light to dark, showing the separation through pattern and line. Going down even farther to the very bottom. I think this one is a really fun project. And then with this one, I'm going to actually take this one up to the easel. Well, thank you so much for drawing layers under the earth with me and for experimenting with line and pattern. I hope you enjoyed this drawing lesson. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. See you next time.